So welcome everybody. My name is Elle Brodsky and I'm the founder of Yoga Buzz, and we have been working really hard over this last week and a half to create some really cool online content for you to have access to wherever it is that you are, so you can keep with your yoga practice, both the asana, the physical practice, as well as some meditation. And now today we have some conversation around philosophy with our friend Ram Lakshmanan, who is going to, he gives us our tours at the Hindu temple here in St. Louis when we take our teacher training group to go visit. So we have had such a pleasure, the pleasure to go and learn from Ram and explore the temple, which is really cool. And so today I'm just really excited, Ram, to just hear what you have to share. I know you've been sort of doing some study around specifically yoga and philosophy and spirituality. And so I think what the one question that I had when we talked a little bit ago was really, I think it'd be good to start the conversation off with what's the difference between yoga and Hinduism, because a lot of times people think yoga is a religion. And so how can we start this conversation by making that clear to start?
Sure. Good afternoon, Al, and good afternoon, everyone. So nice to be with you. I'm so excited we are doing this for the first time in my life. To answer your question, yoga and Hinduism, right? Hinduism is a system of faith. It's a set of beliefs, practices, precepts followed by Hindus. Although yoga originated from India, yoga, in simple terms, is just a methodology or technology that's given to us as humanity for people to practice anywhere. The very simple way to understand this is yoga really seeks alignment between the mind, the body, and the spirit in its fullest sense. This is not confined to any one religion or any one system of thought or any one region of the world. This can be used anywhere across the world. It is universal in that sense. It's a technology. And as I jocularly put it, just like the iPhone was created in San Francisco on the west coast of USA by Steve Jobs and people, it doesn't mean that iPhone cannot be used in Japan or South Korea or Swaziland for all I care. It's used everywhere. So this is technology meant for the benefit of humankind. So we should use it. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. So we kind of were talking earlier, and I'm really just, I don't have any leading questions. I'm just curious I know you've been excited to share some of what you've been working on. So get at it.
Sure, sounds good. So a couple of things I want to cover today. Okay, one is some key elements of yoga philosophy as we understand it. And these are, when I say philosophy, these are not difficult concepts. These are pretty easy concepts for us to understand. And I'll try to make it as easy as possible for everyone to follow. And the second is, some lessons that I have learned as a human being from the recent crisis that everybody in the world is now today talking about. Let's say coronavirus, COVID-19 crisis. Okay, what have we learned from this? So let me cover those. First, let's start with the key elements of yoga philosophy, right? So what's yoga? Yoga is unison, finding unity, finding unison with or alignment with our mind, body, and the spirit. Why is that important? Because you know what, as human beings, essentially we have three parts. In our core, we have only three parts. One is this body, one is a mind, and there is something that makes this go around, which is the life force that we have. You could call it the consciousness, you may call it the soul, call it by whatever name you want, but you understand. This is the piece of the cosmic spirit given to us, the energy that's given to us that makes us go around. Body is an accumulation of food, mind is an accumulation of memories. So these are things that we have accumulated in this life. And if I take away those two, because they are not the true self, something that we acquire or accumulate in life, we can call it mind. I accumulated houses, I accumulated dresses, I accumulated footwear, whatever. They are mine, that's not me. Body is an accumulation. This is my body, but that's not me. Mind is an accumulation of memories. The mind is mine, it is my mind, but it's not me. The true me is really the soul that lives within. That's a piece of the cosmic energy. And the way we understand is we are all vibrations. That soul is really a vibration. And that vibration is what affects everything in the world. And I'm a piece of that vibration. And if you want to hark back to something from the Hinduism in terms of philosophy, there is one saying that just about summarizes it. It says, Tattvam Asi. Tattvam Asi. What that means is the soul within is the same as the Supreme Self. This is what many other religions will tell you. We are an image of God. We have godliness in us, and that's why we greet each other with a folded palms and about our head, which today they say is a very hygienic way of greeting because I don't want to touch you for reasons of hygiene and not to infect anybody. What this means is the divinity in me bows to the divinity in you. And what you guys do as yoga practitioners and yoga teachers, what you do is you're bringing this whole body, mind, and the spirit together. So that's about the best service you can render to humanity in serious terms, honestly. So that's what yoga is all about. So that's the first thing I want to share with you. The second thing is, if you think about how you enhance this, various forms of yoga enhance the body, which you guys know. You develop flexibility, you make people feel healthy because they follow certain asanas and certain types of breath control and so on and so forth. You also know the medicinal properties of yoga, how you can cure some of the diseases. If I have back pain or some other pain or severe diabetes or severe blood pressure or stress, you guys know all this. I don't want to get into all the details. You guys know this. There is also research to show that by practicing yoga, you can improve your memory, you can improve your neural connections. So, these are all the physical aspects through which you are adding value to the human life by making people feel comfortable, feel happy, feel, good about themselves. So this is like going to the gym. So what you guys are doing is really you're providing a mental gym. You're also providing a physical gym by providing flexibility, by stretching body in different ways. But what you're essentially doing, honestly, you are making the energy flow through the body in a conscious way, which brings me back to that earlier point that I made. We are all vibrations. There's a lot of energy flowing through us. And you know about the energy centers in our body. You guys call it chakra. Mm-hmm. Chakra means energy center. You are allowing the energy to flow through the body in a conscious way. We can do it consciously or we can just do it compulsively, which means you'll just go on. I feel hungry, I eat. I can just lead a very vegetative living, eat, sleep, get up and walk around and procreate and, lead a very vegetative life. Or I can be conscious about what I'm doing, where I can exercise the freedom of human choice and do things consciously. And that's what yoga helps us to do, right? So that's a physical aspect of yoga, but also impinges on the human aspect, the mental aspect of yoga, right? Which is the physical, the emotional and the psychological well-being of people. Because body and the mind are connected, one impacts the other, right? If you have a good mind, you have a good body. If you're stressing in your mind, that's going to reflect in your body. And if your body is stressed, the mind is going to be impacted. And how can we declutter the mind so that we don't take that stress and feel good about ourselves? And then the third step comes where you're talking about the spiritual well-being, which is where you do things like pranayama. Pranayama is breath control. By consciously thinking about how the breath flows through your system and activates the energy centers in your body, now you're looking at total holistic wellness of people, physical, mental, and the spiritual well-being. So
I think that's what draws so many people to the practice of yoga and gets hooked with the physical practices, because it's like, well, wait a second, there's something more here, right? And so, what we talk about in our teacher training is to be a really skilled teacher is how can you maintain awareness of each of those layers? And we talk about the koshas, the 5 layers of consciousness, which is essentially exactly what you're talking about, just +2, right? And it is to be aware of that as a yoga teacher. I might be teaching a physical experience, but I'm actually sort of sneaking in and trying to engage those other experiences, unbeknownst a lot of times to the people who are in a yoga class or think they're just in a yoga class.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, my grandpa always used to say, sound mind in a sound body. A sound mind can only exist in a sound body, and vice versa. A sound body can only exist in a sound mind. And many doctors will tell you, sometimes patients give up. Patients give up and say, oh, there's no hope for me. There's nothing I can do. This is not going to work. You know what? Medicine doesn't work, unfortunately, because the body follows the mind. That's what we typically call as mind over matter.
Yeah.
And it is vice versa. If I'm really in pain, that's not the time you come in and start talking to me about high philosophy, and I'm going to, please give me a break. Mm-hmm. My leg is, killing me. My back is killing me, whatever. But I can reroute my energy consciously by the practice of yoga. If I know the right thing to do, this is like a plumber picking out the right kind of tool to fix that particular leak. You are providing these tools. So essentially, yoga is nothing but it's a technology with a lot of tools given to anybody. And if I learn from a good teacher, just like everything else in life, I can train myself to think consciously and correct my physical ailments, and also be able to reroute my mind in a way that I'm not prone to anxieties and stresses of the day-to-day life. Of course, there's always stuff coming to you from different senses, different places, all over the environment. You can't control the environment. What you can certainly control is what happens to you here, the mind, body, and the spirit. And that's where I think yoga plays a huge part. And people, when they recognize the full power of yoga, instead of just looking at it as people contorting their body into different shapes, that's not, that's hatha yoga, physical yoga, that's good. It's a good place to start. But if you understand the essence of it, the background to it, like you said, you are actually sneaking in the spiritual aspect, you're sneaking in the mental aspect, which is so vital. And people who appreciate it find a lot more value in it. And that's what excites me in not only learning about Hinduism, but more importantly about yoga as a way to further well-being in humanity, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Western culture is so focused on the physical and on stuff, and not just the physical body, but the accumulation of physical things, which you can see happening right now as people are panicking in the midst of this crisis. I need more things to feel more secure. Toilet paper specifically. That is apparently the core of human needs, the top of the Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy of needs, apparently. And so that is why I really think that the physical practice of yoga has become so popular. But then it reminds us of something deeper. Like, I know for me, when I first started doing yoga, it was like, there's something magical here. Like, that's what I felt as I was like 15, 16. It was like, there's something really magical here, and I want to know more. And even after doing my first 200-hour yoga teacher training in a westernized environment, it was like, but there's still something here. And I just kept digging, and I haven't stopped digging.
So that's true. There is a whole body of knowledge out there that even I've been educating myself on, which includes quantum physics, string theory, the secretion of hormones and the chemical imbalances, how they're corrected as a result of practicing yoga, and a whole host of other things. That may be a subject for conversation for some other day. I don't want to get into that. But one point that you mentioned, El, is a very good segue, I think. You talked about how people are impacted by a lot of things, and sometimes we learn to look at material things. And of course, a toilet paper is very essential to health. Next to oxygen and your cell phone, we need toilet paper. Everything else, right? That said, I want to get that out of the way anyway. I made to myself some notes, based on what this whole experience of, the COVID-19 crisis has taught me, as a human being. A lot of, we're all connected to social media. So whether you go on Facebook or WhatsApp or 20 other, Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, people are sending you messages about COVID-19, 99% of the time. But what has it taught us, right? To my mind, I just want to share a few thoughts that I have noted to myself, and hopefully that may resonate with some of you. One is that, we are all equal. The virus, when it attacks you, doesn't care whether you are rich or poor, whether you have one eye or two eyes, or whatever, maybe your qualification, your gender, none of that matters. Whether I'm more educated, less educated, doesn't matter. The virus just walks in and says, "Oh, thank you very much," and just by a mere shaking of hands can come to you and haunt you. So we are all equal, honestly. So let's not think about, "Oh, I have achieved this, I have achieved this, so I have this special chip on my shoulder," kind of thing. The other thing is the interconnectedness. We are all interconnected. We are all vibrations. So, you may look and talk differently because you have this different body accumulation or a mental accumulation. But if I take away that, you are just the same as me in terms of energy. We all came from the same cosmic energy. We all share the same energy and the vibration. And even just by being in the same room, just by the act of breathing, I'm impacting other people. So that's one thing that I've learned from this. The other is, this has also taught us how precious life is, how precious our health is. And life is cyclical. It goes up and down. So just like the weather in St. Louis, it's going to change. So this is not the end of life. We can sit here and, be anxious about, "Oh my God, what's going to happen? The world is going to come to an end. This is how we die." No, you'll be fine. Don't stress your mind. If you stress your mind, your immunity goes down. If your immunity goes down, the virus has a greater chance of attacking you. Don't let that happen. Consciously avoid that stress. Tell yourself there is so much good out there. Look at how good people are. How it brings out the good in people. People who never knew each other. Strangers are helping each other. Why does it take a virus for us to learn this, right? But it's good. It's maybe the nature's way of teaching us some things. So I'm looking at the good thing. The other thing is, we all think so highly about ourselves. "Oh, I have achieved this. I have achieved this. I'm powerful. I'm invincible." That ego has to be in check. Mm-hmm. One simple little virus that you can't even see with your eyes can bring the whole world to a standstill. What are you talking about your ego for, right? How we can have the biggest of armies and air force and navy. Of what good is it? Yeah, virus can just spin it around its little finger and crush it, right? So that's what So that teaches us to keep our ego in check. The other thing is also environmentally, we have seen the memes saying, "World is closed down for maintenance." Mother Earth is sick because of all the pollution that we have generously contributed to it, and so many others have done things. And so maybe it's a point to just take a pause and say, what did I do wrong here? Is there any way I can improve this? And if I improve it, I'm not improving it for myself. I'm improving it for the whole world. But actually, in a selfish way, you are helping the whole world by doing this. So we have to do a little bit to reduce this pollution. And so this is something that I learned. I'm not trying to preach here. I'm just trying to, share my thoughts with you. And hopefully this strikes a chord with some of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have so many thoughts. The idea of the way that nature is kind of, because there's stories of in Venice, the dolphins have returned to the canals and the water is clear for the first time in some people's conscious memory. And I think of the stories that I've heard of the Goddess Lakshmi, who represents abundance and thriving life, essentially. And she goes to the places where she's appreciated. And when she's not appreciated, she just sort of is just okay, well then kind of goes out the back door. And then everybody's like, wait a second, where'd Lakshmi go? And she just ghosted the party. And that's what's happened in so many places in our world, is we've had a lack of appreciation and honoring the necessity for life and sustainability. And so she's just kind of, that quality is just kind of exited stage left, and now there's room, and so she's kind of coming back in. That's how I've been thinking of it.
That's a whole idea. And sometimes people say, what can I do? I cannot help the whole world. I cannot do it. You know what? Honestly, there's something you can do. Every one of us can do. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever stopped you from praying. Nobody ever stopped you from creating a positive thought. You just think of, in a very selfish way, doesn't matter. Pick 5 people that are closest to you. Just pray for their well-being. Good enough. You know what happens? That positive energy, because you are a vibration, you are a very powerful vibration. Emit that positive thought. That vibration attaches itself to the soul that you are talking about and actually heals that soul.
Mhm.
Something other than yourself. In the process, actually, you're throwing a good pebble, it will come back to certainly impact you. That's like doing good. That's a karma theory, right?
Yeah.
You can call karma theory part of Hinduism, doesn't matter. This is a way of life. Throw the good pebble, you're not going to hurt yourself. You can certainly, all of us can do something. Definitely, we can do something. There's nobody who stopped you from emitting a positive thought. It's all in your mind, right? And in fact, when we do this, yoga practices actually teach you to be more conscious of what our own powers are, which is what actually Hindu philosophy teaches us. It is like that divinity is there in you. Don't go around looking for it outside. Yes, there is God, there is cosmic force, there is that energy everywhere, but it's within you. Tattvamasi. You remember I mentioned Tattvamasi. That soul within you is the same as the Supreme Self. Seek it from within. That's what it says. And so that's why I always say thank you to you guys, the yoga practitioners, because you are doing a great service to humanity. Please continue doing this. Don't ever give this up, even if I talk to you otherwise.
Thank you so much, Ram. I think that's a perfect place to end today. I definitely we need to have more conversation about yoga and its relation to quantum string theory and all of that, because that has got my little nerd angel over here like, I'm sorry, what? So
But
we will have more conversations, I certainly hope. And thank you so much for making the time to do this today, and always for taking the time to share all of your wealth of knowledge with our community. And take care.
thank you so much. Don't let me fool you. I can fool some people some of the time. But thank you for the opportunity. Namaste.
Thank you, Ram. Namaste.